we've got the
Wow.
one and only Nem, Nomi. Yes, we're just going to be talking about our hearts and
Yeah.
like, please stay until the end if you want to.
If you want to,
Yeah.
only if you want to.
So yeah, this is mostly for people who have heart for missions and for young men and women. But yeah, whatever comes out today will be very spirit led. So please stay until the end if you want to. So where do we start?
Where do we start? Hmm.
Okay,
Well,
you're gonna start off with your heart for missions and how you got calling from the Lord.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good start so that I can just like introduce myself
Yeah.
as well. So like Osan said, my name is Noami. I am currently 23 years old. I was born in Burma, and I moved to Malaysia when I was about 8 years old.
8 years old.
And there was a lot that happened in Malaysia. I think for us, it was like the pruning season for us,
Seasons, yes.
for my family. My mom got diagnosed with blood cancer back in 2010. And then my dad was growing up, he was a drug addict.
Yes.
But the Lord literally just transformed his life through everything that we were going through.
Yeah.
And so we even got to the orphanage because there was no one to take care of us, for a while. And I think for me, I guess like kind of just sharing my testimony, before anything, like for me, when I got to the orphanage, that was like the first time I ever like questioned God in my life. Because, we grew up in a Christian household, but that was like, I think the first time that I actually like was like, God, why is this happening? It's not fair. But God miraculously healed my mom from blood cancer. The doctors told her if she doesn't die basically in 5 years, then she'll be paralyzed, her body. But it's been over 15 years and she's still
Praise the
alive. She's
Lord.
beautiful and strong. And so only God can do that. And because my dad chose Jesus, our family also transformed. And now we live in the United States, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I am currently doing my master's program right now. God willing, I'll be done with my counseling of studies in May of this year. And so I'm really excited for that. But yeah, basically, I get to travel a lot during the season of my life. But I think the first time that missions became very serious to me was back in 2022. Our church youth, we went to this event called The Send,
Send.
and it's led by Andy Bird and everyone. They're amazing.
The founder of Fire and Fragrance as well.
Yes, yes, which both of us,
Yeah.
we did DTS,
DTS.
changed our lives literally.
Miraculously.
And so when I went to the Send, it's like a 1 day event, and there was this moment where at the end of that day, they asked us to like take up our shoes or our sandals, and basically just proclaim like, God, send me anywhere. And I don't know, like a lot of people were doing it because maybe everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
But at that moment, for me, it was a very serious moment because for me, that moment was when I basically gave up my American dream, you know, because we came to the States as refugees, as immigrants. And so, whether our parents are pressuring us or not to get good jobs and all those things, like, there, I think it's already ingrained in our mind
That's right.
that we have to chase after that American dream. We came here for better lives,
Yeah.
you know? And so I grew up with this like mentality that I'm gonna get a good degree, get a good job, and basically like let my parents live that American dream,
Yeah.
basically. And so that moment for me was like, God, instead of chasing this my whole life, I'm gonna commit it to chasing your dream, which might not necessarily look like chasing the American dream, which might be totally the opposite of that.
Yeah.
But here I am, send me, you know? And
Yes.
so,
Just like her song.
yes, here I am.
We could sing it all over again and again.
Like, we could mash up the two
I
songs.
know,
Like, how
literally.
can I say no? And then
Yeah.
maybe we'll do that
Yeah, we'll
next
do
time.
that. We might.
Yeah. But I think that was like the first serious moment, I think,
Yeah.
that I can recall. You know, maybe there's more, but I do want to mention like growing up, my mom always told us that we have to have a heart for mission. And you know, she always say, you're if you get a high degree and get a good job, you know, have a lot of money, and then you can provide enough for your family, then that's not a blessing, basically. She said, like, what
Wow.
it means to be a blessing to other people is when other people, for example, orphans, widows, right? 未講得嘅資源嘛. So orphans and widows, like when they can basically benefit out of our wealth, that's a blessing.
That's so
I don't know if that
crazy.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
So
my
she
goodness.
always told us, I guess, taught us to have that
Wow.
mentality. Like, if we ever have this high education, this good paying job, like, it's never just for us and our family. So I think I did grow up with
Wow.
that like mentality. Like, my life is not just for me,
That's so
you know,
crazy.
and so
Yeah.
and then I think we're also very privileged that we got to grow up in a community, a church community where missions was always like preached about. I go to,
Prioritize.
yeah, ever since we got to the States, went, we've, you know, until now, up until now, we go to Far East Mission Church, and even the name Far East Mission Church,
Yeah.
you know,
That speaks a lot already.
yes, it's a
Yeah.
missions based community. And so, you know, I think a lot of seed has been sown in us at a young age. Like, we've had speakers, missionaries who would share their testimonies, and I would like watch them and like, wow, like, that's cool, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then they would like ask us to, like, basically, if you want to like become a missionary one day, or if you at least like want to preach the gospel, things like that, if you want God to use you, then come, you know, we're gonna pray. And then I think like there's been countless of times where I went in front of that altar at church, and I just say, God, use my life however you can. And so I do want to mention those. And so I think those are like seeds that's been like sown in
Yeah.
us.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so then moving forward, after the Sen, I think I got this opportunity to go to Iraq,
Iraq.
which is in the Middle East. For those who don't know, it's, you know, it's a majorly like Muslim nation. I would say, like,
Yeah.
honestly, when I was there and like asked people like if they knew Jesus, they're like, what is Jesus? Not even who is Jesus, but like,
Yeah.
what
What
is
is
Jesus?
Jesus?
What is that? 10 out of 10 people that I asked. So very, very like Muslim nation, I would say. But a highlight from that trip for me was that I think it was on the 8th day that I was there,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong. There were these two brothers. They were 17 years old at the time, both twins. They were born a Muslim, but then they became missionaries. They were born with a disease. So both of them were on the wheelchair like the whole time. And but they would like go out in the streets to preach the gospel, to do evangelism.
Wow.
And so they were both in front, like sharing their testimony. And they said specifically this word, even though we have this
Disabilities.
disability, we have no excuse because there are so many of our
So
family,
crazy.
friends who have yet to hear about Jesus. And so I was sitting at the very back row that night and just tears streaming down my face. I was like, oh my gosh, just so convicted.
Yeah.
And this question in my head popped up. It was like, Noami, what's your excuse? You know what I mean?
The
And
greatest conviction.
yeah, what's your excuse? And then, like, I was just having, I guess, a mental conversation with God.
Wow.
And so I was like, God, I'm still in college. I was still doing my undergrad at the time. And I'm a girl. I'm just a girl, you know, that I listed so many like excuses that I had at the time. And one of the biggest ones were, you know, that I was an immigrant, I was a refugee. So I have all these things that I have to do basically. And then I'm a girl, you know, and I was so young, right? I wasn't even 20 yet, I don't think. And so, yeah, I think those were my excuses, but then I just like it just wasn't enough. You know what I mean? Like, and the other thing that limited me so much was that I felt so broken at the time. And I think 2022 was really the year of crushing for me. But like the Lord makes new wine,
Yes, he
right?
really does,
In the
guys.
crushing.
Yes.
And so, but at that moment, the new wine is still in the process, so I couldn't see it, and so I felt so unworthy. Like, God, how could how could you want someone like me? How could you want like in your mind, right? How could you look at someone so broken like me and think I could still use something this broken? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. And so, but then it's like, it's not enough. My excuse wasn't enough. And so I grabbed my journal and I literally just like wrote a letter to God. What I usually do is I start with Dear God.
Yes.
And then you see that post
Dear
like
Father.
like sometimes you say like Dear God and then like all the tears just come like you have
Yes.
no words.
Yeah.
But that time I started like Dear God and then like just sharing everything on my heart, how I felt. And that letter to God became a song, basically. And I titled it I Love You with My Yes. And that was like the first song I've ever written.
Wow.
I had no plan of writing songs ever
You
in
guys
my
have to
life.
listen to that song, guys. It will wreck too.
Yeah. So it's like basically just a letter to God. And I it was inspired by not Isaiah, Acts chapter 9, where Paul, at the time Saul, was on his way to Damascus. And he was so zealous, right, to persecute Christians
Yes.
and Jesus' disciples. And but Jesus met him in his on
So
his way,
crazy.
and he fell, right, and he was blinded.
Blinded.
And then the Lord sent Ananias to go to Paul because God said to Ananias, this is my chosen vessel. I'm going to use him as an instrument,
Instruments. Yes.
right? To preach the gospel. And so through that, the Lord spoke to me. And so the song, I Love You with My Yes, was inspired by Acts chapter 9. But then my favorite personal favorite part that I wrote was in the pre-chorus where it says, "How can I say no to the creator of the universe? Lord, if you still want to use a vessel so unworthy of your calling." Right? Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you. It's like,
Guys, it's so beautiful. You guys have to listen to that song, and I am pretty sure that will speak through every heart that listen to it. And
yeah.
it spoke to me every time. And every time I hear not just the song, the lyrics itself, but knowing that it comes from such a broken, used to be broken person, like,
Yeah.
and through that, just like how she was saying, she used to be so broken, feeling like she was unworthy of the calling, but she still say yes to God. I'll love you with my yes, and I think that is so beautiful, and I think it will speak to so many more hearts that will listen to it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. I received that.
Yeah.
And you always send me like, I'm listening to this. Like, it's so encouraging to receive messages like that from people because, like I said, it was literally just a letter from me to God, and then
Yeah.
the Lord Himself gave me that boldness to release it out into the world, I guess,
So
because
crazy.
I would limit myself so much. Like, that's not something that I can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like those kind of like artistic people or anything like that. So, I would limit myself. But yeah, like I was at home after that Iraq trip one time by myself, and we had this old piano at my house, and like I don't even know like how to play instrument that much, but I just know like the D family.
ABC. Yes.
And so I was playing D and then all those stuff, and then the melody just came, and then I was like, whoa,
Wow.
because I put my journal in front of me, and then I was just like singing it to the Lord, right? And then the melody just came right
Wow.
there from like the top to the bottom, literally. And so I recorded it on my phone, and then I just like we have really talented, gifted musicians from my church, and they're also like my good friends, and so shout out to them, Ukaipu,
Such a gift.
Siano, just all, yeah, they're just amazing. And so I basically just like showed it to them.
Yeah.
Hey, like I think this can become a song, and they had to literally search what chord it is and stuff, but it worked out. And yeah, so that's my
That's so crazy.
mission story. And I think from that moment, like I said, how can I say no? So every time I'm like tempted to deny, God's calling on my life, like I'm like, I'm not worthy. I can't do this. God's like, how can you say no? And I'm like, yeah, right. How can I say no?
Yeah.
And so that's been like an anthem in my life.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And you wrote it yourself as well.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if you mentioned it in the little video clip that you made for the I Love You with My Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned that, but I think whoever gets to hear now the story behind it will also be more encouraged to listen to that song as well, because I think it really, if you are a person with a heart of mission, I think that song is just gonna convince you whether or not you like it, because it's beautiful, and you can never say no to something that you have a conviction about. And as long as it's the mission, I think it's really hard to say no to God. And once you go once, it never ends.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Yeah.
As well. So yeah, like I think it's really powerful to hear that as well.
Amen.
And we can also see that God really used pain
Yeah.
to call his people. And just like how
Talk
we can
about it.
hear from Nem,
Yeah.
I think pain is such a sweet, how do we say, such a sweet calling,
Yeah.
in a way, although it can be really painful when you go through it.
Yeah.
But like when you go through that pain, you can't really like see what's out of it. But once you're out of it, you can look back and think, oh wow, that's the reason why, you know. And just like how Nem was saying, God met her through brokenness in 2022. I think that was really powerful. It's really beautiful, and God really does use broken people for his kingdom. So yeah, like just talk more about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, even like when I'm traveling somewhere, you know, now, when I'm on the flight by myself, like I would listen to my own songs, like just to like remind myself of the calling God placed on my life, because sometimes like it's so easy to doubt it. It's so easy to like be discouraged, I would say.
Definitely.
And when we're thinking too much about, when we look at ourselves, right? That's what the enemy wants us to do, is he wants us to look at ourselves, right? And then he wants to make us feel all the insecurities, and then he makes us look at other people. And then when we look at other people, then we feel more insecure, right? We compare ourselves. And then, so like I listen to these songs to remind myself, look to God. He's the one that called you, right? And
So
you're serving him and him only, not people.
That's so good.
Right? And so my life is it should be, you know, a pleasing aroma to God and him only. Not I'm not here on earth to please myself or other people, right? Because it gets so tiring when we try to please people and impress them. Because
That's so true.
I remind myself, son, every time I'm about to get on stage and preach, I'm like, God, I can't impress these people because like I don't have the ability, the qualities to even impress them.
And
So
how
I'm not
far
even
can
gonna
this soul
try.
go? Yeah.
Like, I'm here to please you. So help me to boldly preach your truth as it is and not sugarcoat it,
Yes.
right? And help me live that truth.
And that's the thing about Nem as well. When she preached, like she preached so boldly. We were talking about how bold she was like 2 years ago when she came. She was only 21 years old.
Yeah.
And like she didn't even realize the bonus that she had at the time.
Yeah.
But God provide even just bonus. Like it's not easy. Like, and I think we, like you were talking about how, I don't know where, but somewhere you were talking about how you overcame fear of men when you evangelize or when you do
On the plane.
evangelism. Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Like, I think fear really does stop people, but like Nem, when she preached, like one thing I really like about her is she's so bold. Paulism. It's gonna go to Zoe now. Even when she talk, you can see the brightness and just like she really shined through like the room, and you can see just the presence of God, like whoever she does talk to. And this is not a compliment. It's facts. I always say that. But yeah, like yeah, I think just the boldness that she had as well, like really does shine through. And when you preach as well, just like how you were saying, like you really do ask God, not, you're not here to please people, but and through that God can only speak what he wants to speak through people. Because like sometimes what most like preachers do is you want to figure out what these people want to hear, you know?
Yeah.
But then there's God chosen vessel, like the one that he really do focus on is who is going to listen to me, who is going to like say and speak what I want these people to know and not what they want to hear. And like I think that's exactly what you're doing right now as well. And sometimes I do listen to her preaching, and it's straight up to leaders sometimes. Straight up to the members, the audience, you know. And I think that is what God like need in these days and age, to boldly speak the truth and not be fear of it. And that's exactly what she's doing. So yeah.
Well, you know, son, whenever people tell me that like I'm bold or anything like that, I'm always like, wow, you don't know me. Because like I'm so not bold. You know what I mean? Like, I'm that girl who's still, not still, I think the Lord has been working in me to overcome like a lot of fears in my
Yeah.
life. But I'm that girl who has a lot of fear. You know what I mean? Like, I was so scared to sleep by myself in the dark. So I always, if I'm sleeping by, like, even when I'm like traveling to preach, do camps and stuff, and if I'm by myself in the hotel, I have the lamps on. You know,
Wow.
like I'm that person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so bangale, bangale.
Bangale.
You guys
It's
know.
okay, guys. We'll translate
Well,
that.
audience devil so me
I
but
think so.
you know, I'm a doi coward.
Yeah.
I'm a coward. I'm also the middle child in my sibling. So most middle childs, we're people pleasers.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say no to people because I want to please them. Tidane. But the boldness that you said, you talked about, and these people see, it can only come from the Lord.
From the Lord.
Right,
Yes.
I know so well that whenever I'm bold, it comes from the Holy Spirit, because I do admit, like, whenever I'm preaching the gospel, it feels like I'm literally coming alive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like when I was in
That's so
Thailand
beautiful.
this past December, most of, I let most of my friends do the, sharing and stuff, because I kind of just I'm there to like be with them basically. But I think one or two times I got to speak, and like I felt like physically too, I was coming alive when the gospel was preached through me.
Yeah.
So because the Bible says there's power in the gospel,
Yes.
right? And so I do experience that boldness, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I know for sure it doesn't come from me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And also how like I was listening to Billy Graham preaching like I think a couple months ago, and he was talking about how you have not preached the gospel if you haven't preached the death of Jesus and the love of Jesus. Tualoa, without that, you haven't preached the gospel. And following that, he was preaching about the rewarding of like the feeling of like preaching that gospel, you know, like, and the power of the gospel is really just, you can't just be talking something else in a sermon. And nowadays, what people love talking about is like other things, but they forget to preach about the commissions, you know, like the gospel. And I think that is what is lacking in the ministry right now, in what I notice, is they don't really preach about the gospel anymore. But you and I, by the grace of God, we're surrounded by missionaries, and we get to hear the gospel almost every week because we're surrounded by with like this, you know, our DTS as well. And I keep up with the Fire and Fragrance Nashville like podcast every week with the Monday nights, and we get to hear the gospel. But for those, like, you go to Sunday and like all you hear sometimes is like other things in the Bible, but never really about the gospel. If you hear it maybe once or twice a year. And I think that's really needs to be like spoken out, and people needs to be aware that it's all about the gospel. And you don't stop there, you also go and commission other people, you know. And I think that is what it's all about, you know, the reason why we're leaving, and that is the last message of Jesus before he left. And yeah, like I think the mission, the gospel is something people needs to be more aware of. And like, and even when Nem came as well 2 years ago, that's where the Lord did miraculous things. And I think 3 girls from Australia went for mission. Honestly, God is so good. And we're believing that, and two of our friends also is
did.
currently
Yes. So
now
5 in
in
total,
5 in total.
which is wild.
And I thank the Lord every time and every chance that I am reminded of DTS, then I would think about Normie all the time. Now we are expecting to get more people, yes, to
Yes.
come out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we just can't wait to see what the Lord will do.
Can I share a little bit about
Yes.
that? So
Yeah.
2024, I just finished my DTS, and then I came with my dad for their church
Yes,
family
family
camp.
camp.
And so we first, I think, yeah, we first landed in Brisbane, and then coming to Australia for the first time, I just was not expecting like to even talk about missions, because I just got back from missions trip, and
Yeah.
so I was like burning to talk about
Burning,
missions.
yes.
But then I'm like, I don't think I can really talk about missions yet, because I don't think they're there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like maybe I'll just
Yeah.
focus on like preaching the gospel to
The
them
gospel
and
to them,
the love of
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So I came, and then I had these young people come to me and like, hey, like, I know you just went to mission, like, can you talk more about that? And then even you texted me, and then
Yeah.
when I met you, you were just so ready to like just receive anything that I had
Yeah.
about missions. And I remember just like going to God and like, God, what?
What are you doing?
Yeah, I did not expect this,
No.
but I was so happy. Like, wow, this is like beyond what I imagined. And
Yes.
so you guys were just so ready, and then we did a commissioning night at the camp
On the second night.
on the
Yes.
was it the
Yeah,
second
the second night.
second night. We did the same thing at the Sen,
Yes.
like we raised our shoes, and I don't think a lot of people really like understood.
Yes, what it
But
means,
I
really.
knew that I had to do that at least for one person, and that
Yes.
was Anu.
Yes.
And so yeah, the Lord just works in wild ways. When I was doing my DTS in Kona, Hawaii, the Lord basically, in a way, forcefully, told me to lead intercession for Myanmar,
Yes, yes.
because we would do intercession days, but it was for all these different countries.
Yes.
And one time the Lord told me, like, you have to tell your leaders that you have, you have to intercede for Myanmar. But then I was like the only Burmese girl, you know what I mean? And we had like over 350 students in my class, and God, like, these probably, like, these people don't even know what Myanmar is, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no, I'm not gonna tell them. But then the Lord gave me chance after chance. Long story short, I went up to my leaders. I'm like, we have to do intercession for Myanmar, and they're like, okay, you're leading it tomorrow morning.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, freak. Okay. So then I went into the prayer room right away, and I'm like, God, what do I do?
Yeah, and
What,
it's like 500 people.
like, there's just so many people, and I'm like, God, what do you want? What do you even want me to pray about? And then one of the prayer points, because the Lord gave me all these prayer points, and one of them was for the Lord to send mission revival among the Zomi American youth.
That's so
Right?
crazy.
And so all of my class prayed that all these Zomi next generation in America, in the United States, to experience this mission revival. And then when I came to Australia that night, when we did the commissioning, the Lord reminded me of that intercession, that prayer point specifically.
That's so crazy.
And he's like, Australia got it,
We got it.
because
Answered prayer.
we were praying for the Americans, not Australians.
Too bad, guys.
But the Australians got it first, and so I'm like, God, the way you work is just so amazing. But then when I went back to the States and I was like doing commissioning stuff, like in different churches, I would always say that, the Australians, they got it first, than us. we have to step up, you know.
Yes, guys, whoever respond first,
Yeah, whoever
go first.
that's exactly.
Yes.
You know, he said the last shall be first, right? Like, for God, how he works is just like beyond our how do I say it? Beyond our
We can't
understanding.
fathom
We can't
it
fathom it.
at
Yeah.
all. Yeah,
Yeah. And
so
so
crazy.
I'm just like, it started with you, and then the two Jingjings from Brisbane,
Yes,
and then
so
now
crazy.
to Kim and Umano. And so,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just so crazy how like even way before you come, and even DTS at that time was so, I think not a secret, but like it was so sacred that nobody really know about it. You know what I mean? And like even when I was meeting Siatek, they came to us like 2 years ago, the year I got a calling from the Lord, and he was talking about how when like fine fragrance was such a like a secret, you know, like, and if you find that it's like a gold kind of thing. And I heard about missions, like people going to missions, and sometimes I heard like testimonies, sometimes from your church. I don't know if it's from full sometimes, but I can't really remember. But I knew like this heart of mission was in my heart, but I never thought I'd actually do it. And then I think prior to you coming was Siamahao. And then the Lord really, like, it's like how John like come to make a way for Jesus kind of thing, you know.
Oh, wow.
It's like
She was
somehow,
preparing the way.
preparing the
Wow.
way like before you came, and then she was like, you have to go. And I was like, what God, what do you want me to do, you know?
Yeah.
She was like, you have to go. She was praying for everybody. She went up like on the stage, and then they started singing the song called Nakata Bikto, only by the Spirit, by the strength of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And then she came down and she said, you have to go. God say you have to go.
Oh.
She said, beyond your imagine, above all you can imagine, God will, you know, like guide you. And then I was like, I didn't know what that really means. And then I remember like it was 2 weeks in between of you coming.
Wow.
And so between those 2 weeks, I was battling with the Lord, like what
Yeah.
that really means. God, what is that calling?
Yeah.
You know, and I remember just sweeping the floor, and I got on my knees on the floor because no one was home. Okay,
Yeah.
guys, we do crazy things when no one's home.
It's
You get
true.
ugly in front of the Lord. And so I put my broom down and I like got on my knees in the kitchen, and I was
Wow.
like, God, I'm not enough for this. You know, I can't do it. And I didn't know what the calling was at that time too,
Yeah.
but I was already feeling like I was not good enough. And then I saw your post, your story. You talk about DTS, how the the Brisbane girls were doing DTS and all of that. And then when I saw that, I'm like, I'm going to go to her. And then you
Wow.
arrived and you stayed at Mama Lucy's house.
Yeah.
And then I brought her some snacks.
Yes.
I was like,
Yeah.
and then I went to her
Can
and I
you
said,
give me like a cake or something?
yeah, the cake and the drink, the ginger. Was
Yeah,
it
ginger
the,
beer.
yeah, that one. And then I started asking her about DTS, and I said, I want to do it. I think I'm going to do it. But it was not a calling from the Lord yet for me, because I didn't hear it from the Lord, but it was just me wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And then on the second night, Nem was like asking us to put our shoes up. And I put my shoes up, giving the smallest yes to God.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that really means.
Yeah.
Up until in the morning, it was around 5 a.m. in the morning, and the Lord woke me up, and it was like, meet me. You know how there's like a
The
cross?
cross. Yes.
I was like, okay. And then I went there at the cross for about 1.5 hours,
Yeah.
speaking in tongues. It was like, God,
Yeah.
like, if you want me to go, I will go. And then I think
Come
I
on.
started telling CLL,
Yeah.
and then you,
Yeah.
and then Nem just kind of like gave me the website where to apply it and everything. And
Yeah.
guys, like, literally God works in so many crazy ways. And for me, it was God sending them in my life, you know, for that door to open.
Oh.
And
I'm gonna cry.
it's so crazy. And
so
just like
sweet.
how Nem was saying, when I was in Nashville, guys, I wanted to go to Kona.
Yeah.
I was
It's
crying
true.
because I didn't get to go to Kona.
Yeah.
And like my friends Ting Tings, they got like their application accepted, I think about
Yep.
2 weeks later. And mine was accepted like what, 3 months later. I heard it from them, and it was a rejection letter. And they said you have to transfer to Nashville. It was a pioneering year. And I was like, I want to go to Kona. God, like, you called me and now you don't want me to go, you
Yeah.
know? This battle in my head, like, oh, maybe God was not calling me. Maybe it was just me. I was filled with doubts and all of this, you know? And I told my parents, okay, I don't think I'm going to go anymore at one point. And then somebody from Nashville reached out to me and said, hey, like, we'd love to have you. And then I was like, okay, fine, God. Although I really don't want to go, I'll go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Lord provided financially as well. And I got to meet Nem in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy how God does things. And we both know that the Lord is going to move through so much more people.
Yeah.
And just like how Nem was saying, how she was doing a burning prayer for Myanmar, I was also doing the burning prayer for Zomi people in Nashville.
Wow.
I remember this one specific event where everyone went home. And because on Monday we do like evangelism up until 4 p.m. and then we have like Monday night starting at 6 again. So I was like telling my friends, I'm not coming home tonight. I have something to do. So I stayed back at the church and they all went home. And I stayed in the chapel for like 2 hours before the Monday night. Praying. I was like praying over every seat, like every single seat in the chapel,
Yeah.
from the stage to the very end. And I said, God, would you please fill this church with Zomi young people? And I felt so selfish at some point just to say Zomi young people, because all my heart was like Zomi, and then I felt Zomi. And then I felt so selfish, but I feel like that's the reason why God sent me in Nashville.
Yeah.
And then this one time as well, God spoke to me about why, specifically one of the reasons why I was in Nashville. And that was to commission the Emmanuel Church young people. And I spoke
Is that where I'm
to
going? The church I'm going?
Emmanuel Church, not the city. Emmanuel Siamaning Sumte.
Oh.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Nashville Emmanuel Church, right? Or Assembly, something like that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we went to that church and I called all my friends, all the DTS students to come with me and to just commission these young people, to bless them, like kai to plant a seed on them so that maybe they will have the heart of mission later. And that I really do believe that Nashville would be a sending place someday, as it is already, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think we are really burning for the Zomi people as of now, but we are also praying to God that it's not only going to reach like Zomi people, but also beyond that, the other Chin as well, you know. And God doesn't have like bangtaniya kikenlo, you know, between for every culture. So and that's our prayer as well.
Man.
I feel like I talk too much.
No. That's so beautiful. Because as you were talking, you know, what we said earlier, how our small yes, you said that, right?
Yes.
Our small yes. And for me, I want to use the word my weak yes.
Weak yes.
Because my yes is not
Weak.
always strong and
Yes.
like, yes. But it's like sometimes like, okay, God, yes. You know, and it's a weak yes. But
Yes.
look at how the Lord can take a small or a weak yes and just do beautiful, wild things.
Through
You know,
that.
I keep saying that. I keep saying,
So
I keep
crazy.
using the word wild because I think it portrays how I feel about it so well, because like amazing, but like it's wild. The Lord is just wild. You know what I mean? And so that's like my favorite word right now. It's like, God, you're wild, because he just surprises us.
He really does.
He does small things, and like I don't even know how to say it. Like, can I
He's so
share?
intentional with it.
He's
Yes,
so
go for it.
intentional. So like when I got to Melbourne this time, I was in Melbourne for 2 weeks already. The first night I got here, I woke up around like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then 5 a.m. And when I woke up at 5 a.m. I was like, okay, God, like, can you speak to me now? Cái
Mm.
tô bà nó hô bị tao đi à, chị à, ấy bảo à.
Mm-mm.
I was like, can you speak to me now? And then the Lord gave me a dream, right? And I'm not gonna share the details of it,
Mm-mm.
but like, basically, I saw a girl in my dream.
Mm.
At a girl, you know, she's from the church that I'm going to,
Mm-mm.
right? But whatever that she told me in the dream, I told her in person, and it was basically what she was going through. And then I, you know, try to like take walks around the neighborhood, and then I usually like go around like the 2 blocks. But then that specific morning, I was like, let me go see what that other side looks like. And so I walked, and then I saw this grandma. She looks like a Zomi grandma. So I was curious, like, you know, I guess like that's where I'm like pretty extroverted, because I wouldn't say I'm like full on extrovert, but
Yes.
I lean more towards extrovert because I'm like,
70%.
yeah, 70% maybe, because I'm like curious, you know. I don't know, but there are situations where I'm like, okay, like let me just pretend like I don't see them, you know.
Yeah.
But like at that time, like I was pretty curious. I literally walked up to her.
Divine appointment, guys.
And you know, God can use our extrovertness, right?
He
Like
really does.
he can. And so I was like, I looked at her, and then she smiled at me, and I smiled back, and then she spoke to me in her language, which is Hakka. And then I was like, oh, I don't speak that language. And then she spoke to me in Burmese, and then I started speaking like in Burmese. But like kan
Oh, yeah, Burmese.
both of us, we weren't that like fluent in
Yeah.
Burmese. So I think like my Burmese, like I felt comfortable, I guess, because I
Yeah.
knew she wasn't that good either. So it just came. And so we had a whole conversation, and I told her like I was from the US and I'm here to preach and stuff. And I told her I was only 23, and she was just shocked.
Wow.
She's like, my husband is a pastor. We have a church here in Melbourne.
That's
And
crazy.
she's like in her, maybe she's 70s, like over 70 years old.
Wow.
And she's like just so amazed that I'm so young, but like I literally came from the States to preach here. Chị đã nè. So she was just like overwhelmed, I get. So like she like literally like touched my face
Oh
like
my
this.
gosh.
She's like, in Burmese, she said like, Edia, piatakin tuat no, piatakin. It's like, this is for God. This is for God's glory. Your beauty is for God's glory. All of this is for God's glory. She kept saying that. And she cried. And I was like crying with her in the street, in the middle of the street. Like, who would have thought, like that one random morning, right? Oh my gosh, the best part, I forgot to tell you. You're
Tell
crying.
me. Oh, it's beautiful.
My favorite part was that when I started that walk that morning, I was just so tired, right? And so I told God, God, I know you're with me, and I just don't feel like running right now. So I'm just gonna walk, but can you just like let me know you're with me, Genjie? And then sometimes like you know God's with you, but to really know he's with you is different. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I'm like, God, like can you, I'm sorry if it's rude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sorry if it's rude that like I don't really believe you're with me, but can you just prove it?
Yeah.
And the thing is, God, you know, he's so kind enough, so gentle enough, and so caring enough to like prove to us. You know what I mean? He can just say
I
like,
could have just ignored it.
he can ignore it. He can be like, oh, who are you to like doubt that I'm with you? You know what I mean? But he doesn't. He's like, okay, my child, like, let me just prove to you again and again and again, you know? And so that was my prayer. I walked and I met that grandma.
Wow.
So she was telling me every morning she would walk in the street and she would proclaim hallelujah 50 times every morning. So I'm like, okay, so she's a prayer warrior, right? And then the Lord reminded me at that moment, like, I always wanted someone who could pray for me consistently, not just like 1 or 2 times,
No.
but someone who can just like pray for me, my ministry, and just, everything that I'm doing, like on a daily basis. So then the Lord reminded me of that desire that I had. So I asked her, can you please pray for me? And then she prayed for me like at that moment. But then I was like, can you like remember me like every day, when in your prayers? She's like, yes, I'm gonna pray for you in the morning, throughout the day, and every night before I go to
Wow.
bed. She said, I'm always gonna
That's so
remember you.
crazy. That's so
And I'm
crazy.
like, the Lord just like sent you to me to meet you. And she's like, yeah, the Lord sent you for me too.
Oh,
And we were like hugging each other, crying. And then like
that's so beautiful, guys.
it felt like she was my grandma. You know what
Mm,
I mean? Like
yeah.
I got her Facebook
Oh,
because she used Facebook. And so that's how we communicate now.
oh,
But she can't like type in, she can only type in her language, which I don't
okay.
understand. So like we would call in Burmese.
Oh,
And so,
guys.
but yeah, that literally happened. And when we were about to part ways, like she literally like looked at, just watched me go. And
Up until
I
you
was like,
are
go.
gone.
Yeah, can payo pai tao
Wow.
chi chi. But she didn't want to go. She just watched me
Oh,
and she was crying. And I'm like,
oh,
oh my gosh, this is like, I just met you, but I love you so much. And then I like kept walking and then I looked back and then I kept looking back. And then at one point, like we were really far away.
that's so
And
crazy,
then
Nem.
she was like, hey, to let me know like I'll go now. And so I was like, yeah, go. And it just felt like the Lord. No, after she went back and I faced this way, I like I was like this. I literally made that face to God. I was like, God, God. I was sobbing. There was
Oh,
like people, there was like cars coming by. I didn't care. I was like, God, because I was like, God, you just sent me an angel. You just literally proved to me that you were so with
yeah.
me. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, God was so with me.
Mm,
And how could I have doubt that? But even when I doubt, even in moments of doubts, He is willing enough, caring enough to prove to me once again, over and over again. And He shows up in so many different ways,
different ways.
in ways that we don't expect. And that morning, it was through that grandma, you know? And it's just like, I don't know. That's why I keep saying God is wild, because no one could have made that up.
No.
Like, I could not have made that story up.
Even in the details.
Every details, yeah.
Literally. And like that is a way to like start off such a beautiful like callings of the Lord in specific events or just occasionally as well, how you would just be asking the Lord, show me a sign, and He really does in times.
Yeah.
And the way that He was showing up in that morning as well is also something you probably think you probably didn't even expect it, right? But just like
No.
how we were talking about the food today,
Yeah.
like He's so intentional with
Yeah.
everything, every little details.
He's so
And
intentional. And
like
to think that He was so intentional with me, and then He can like literally be so intentional with you at the same time, and with everyone
everyone
else who
else.
seeks Him with all of their heart.
It's
Right?
so crazy.
You will
Like
seek me, right? And you will find me when you seek me with all of your heart. So all He requires is that we seek Him with all of our heart, and He meets us at the same time, anywhere in the
anywhere
world,
in the world.
24/7. We can call on Him.
And that's the power of the Holy Spirit, being able to be like there all at once,
Yeah.
at the same times with everybody,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's like the song that I got to sing by Sesian Tuam Eat. The song is not saying that like God loves me more than you. right? But like he's so intentional enough that for me it feels like he loves me more. But
Yes.
for you, it feels
It
like
feels
he
like he
loves you
loves
more.
me more.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? So that's why you call it tuam eat.
Tuam
Not
eat.
saying that he loves some people more
More
than
than
the other. No.
that's so crazy.
But because he's an intentional God, he's a caring God, he's so kind to us. And so he makes us feel that way.
Literally, even with that song, just a little backstory with that.
Yeah.
After we left for our Malaysia trip, I felt so it by God.
Oh.
Everything that He's done in my life.
Yeah.
And after I was about to like come home at Malaysian airport. I was just sitting down and I was just about to fly out. And Tuamit La, your song came up, and I was listening to it, and I was like, all these things in my life that the Lord has done, like I cannot ask with my behavior, my actions, the way because I'm perfect, but because His grace is so sufficient,
Yeah.
that His love is so genuine and so kind, that it even reached out to somebody
Yeah.
like
Oh
me,
my gosh.
you know.
Yes.
And I was literally bawling my eyes out, crying at the airport. And people were just staring at me like, are you okay? And I'm just like, no, like, I'm just so wrecked by the love of God. And I sent it to my friend. And I was like, I'm really wrecked by this song right now. And just like, it's so good. Every time that song, Ahing Biang Na, Tuam Eat, and I Love You with My Yes, those three, every single time I hear those three, like, and guys, it's crazy to think that I'm not just saying these three songs because Nem sings them, but like, because it's generally the three songs that really like boost me up every time I feel like my calling is fading away, you know. And whenever I listen to, especially I Love You with My Yes and I Hing Biang Na, those two songs are what keeps me going, and it's a reminder from the Lord. And it's crazy to think that the very calling came through from them as well. And guys, like, it's just crazy. And I told them yesterday when she arrived, your testimony is right in front of you.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And God is so kind,
He's
so beautiful.
kind. And I love that you shared that like in such a humble way. I don't yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's just like continues to remind me that this is where my yes, my weak yes led me to. You know what I mean? Like my weak yes, not my strong
Literally.
yes, but my weak yes, it led me to you.
Literally,
It
like,
led me to all these people. You know what I mean?
it's like, it's how God was talking about, if you just have a faith of a mustard seed, it's, you know, God can use
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Just like faith that needed to be like just a mustard seed.
yeah.
If your yes is even that size, you know, I think God can still use it in a miraculous way. And He's so intentional. The
Yeah,
provisions,
yeah,
not with just finance, but like the words that are coming out of our mouth, the Lord literally provide in times of need. And I would share you one story that happened in Kyrgyzstan. We were in Kyrgyzstan, and then we met up with one of our really good friends who we were preaching the gospel to.
yeah.
And just like how we were talking about today, we have no Bible background, like degree or
I was
anything at
literally
all.
about to talk about that.
Really?
So, yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
good.
crazy.
That's God.
And then I was like, even before I go to Kyrgyzstan, I was filled with doubt that,
Yeah.
God, I'm not good enough to go, you know.
Yeah.
But God turns up and show up in the most needed time. And we were reading the book of John from chapter 1 to chapter 6. And she would read it verse to verse and ask us like theological questions that we would not be able to answer if it wasn't for the Holy Spirit. And for the whole 4 hours, we were answering like her questions theologically. And we would each other ask questions
Yeah.
later on, like, how did we like answer when she asked us that specific questions?
Yeah.
And me and my friend would just look at each other and we're like, it was the Holy Spirit, because we couldn't do it ourselves.
Wow.
And yeah, that was one of like the time where I realized it doesn't matter what people say, you know, like
Yeah.
because God show up in ways that you cannot expect, like in miraculous way, and he speak through us himself. He reveal himself whenever he wants to. Yeah.
That's so good. And I was like gonna talk about that too, because I think, like we said, please don't hear what we're not saying.
Yeah.
Because what we're not saying here is that you shouldn't, learn the Bible or be an expert in it. That's not what we're saying. But I think a lot of us, we tend to use, use the lack of our biblical skills, I guess, as an excuse to not preach the gospel. I think, does that make sense?
Speaking through you guys.
Yeah. And so for me, in my experience, right, like just recently too, when I was like preaching in front of the parents, on Sundays, like that's always the hard part for me, because speaking to youth, like I'm just like sharing about my experiences, and then like they like authenticity and they like being real, and so but then to speaking to parents is different. There's a pressure, and like they're looking at you like, who are you to say something like this? You're just a kid. And so I always feel the pressure, but I'm very honest. And so I was like, even though I'm standing here in front of you guys, it's not because I'm like, I have a biblical degree, because my bachelor was international relations, not related to the Bible, more of like politics and stuff. And then now my master's is in counseling. But I've always went to a Christian school, so that, built my faith and everything. But like, I never sat in a class where I learned about the Bible like that intensively. And so I told them, I'm like, I don't have a biblical degree, and so whatever that I'm gonna share, it's I'm sharing it through my history with God. And I love that word history, because when we become believers, when we start this faith journey with Jesus, then we spend time with him and we build history with him, right? And so from a young age, we've built history with the Lord in moments of success, in moments of failures, loneliness, depression, anxiety. In those moments, we've learned to lean on God. And when we do everything with him, we have history with him. So I told them, like, that's what I'm going to share from my history with the Lord, right? And so not having a biblical degree is not an excuse to not share the gospel. But my heart is that I want to go to a Bible school if God willing in the future. So I think that's the right heart posture, is that we don't say, oh, I don't need a biblical degree, I can keep going like this. I think that's more pride, because we're not willing to grow right from where we're at. But at the same time, we're like, before we are in that season, before we get to that point, like, we can still
say yes,
preach, we can still share the love of Jesus through our history, through our experiences with him.
It's like an overflowing cup from your secret place. You don't necessarily have to have that in the moment of that calling, because if God calls you right now and you don't have that knowledge of the Bible, like, you can still step up, because you have that overflowing cup, that relationship with the Lord, and it can flow through that from the secret place. And I think that's that's really beautiful.
And that's what it means. Like, in the Bible, it says God doesn't call the perfect, right? But that's why
he qualified those he called.
Yes, you just finished the quote, because I was like, oh, what was the next one? But I knew what it said, but like, I didn't know the exact words to it. See, that's how bad my memory is. But the Lord still uses that, right?
Let's pray for them.
Like, I'm getting old.
Oh my goodness. She's 2 years younger than me.
But what I'm trying to say here is that when the Lord called me, when the Lord called you, we were even less perfect, right? Like, dun a perfect. Like, if we're like closer to perfect now, then we were even further from being perfect then. But the Lord called us in that moment, and we say yes, and now we're here. But every day we're trying to learn, we're trying to grow, right? And I think the most, like, the scariest part would be that even if we were to have all those like biblical knowledge at one point in our lives in the future, to lean on that instead of leaning on God. You know what I mean? Like, to like, oh, right now, like, we don't have the biblical knowledge, so like we're just leaning on God. But then at one point, let's say we did go to a Bible school, we did have all these knowledge about the Bible, and then we start leaning on that knowledge instead of the Holy Spirit, then that would be scary. So I think the Lord is like humbling us right now, because like, oh, like, everything that I'm doing through you is not because of your qualities, or it's not because of how good you are. You know what I mean?
And I think it's very common, like, for people to be living in that pride as well, because, it's very easy to fall into that temptations of,
Yeah.
oh, I have it all,
Right,
and
yeah.
then you start forgetting the actual person who's calling you, and you start leaning towards the knowledge more than, who you're supposed to be leaning on to. The through, if you forget the through,
Yes,
who
the
comes
through.
that come from, I think that's the danger of it.
Yeah.
And like,
That's
yeah,
so good.
it's amazing.
And like, I think to kind of conclude this session, we just want to encourage you guys, and especially if you're a young person, teenagers even, like, you feel like the Lord has somehow called you, but you don't even know. Like, if you ask me right now, right, where do you think like the Lord called you for specifically? Like, that's a hard question because I'm so young still, right? And like, I feel like we have this pressure that's unnecessary on us to figure out everything, and we want to know, we want to have all the answers ready for those questions when people ask us, where do you think the Lord is calling you to? Like, for some it will be very clear, and it's clear for them because the Lord thinks it's necessary for them. But for some it might not be that clear, but you're just saying yes to God with that, even in that. You know what I
Even
mean?
in the unknown.
Even in the
that
unknown.
calling.
Yeah. Like, if you asked
We're hungry.
if you asked me, like, how I'll be serving God in the next 5-10 years, I don't know, right? But I hope I'll still be serving God. That's my answer. Like, not I hope, I pray that I'll still be serving God until my last breath.
Yes.
But I just, like, I think we unintentionally get obsessed with positions and titles and ministry. Oh, your ministry is this way, this way, this way.
Yeah.
Which, it's good to know that. But when we make that our identity, when we make our calling our identity, when we make our ministry our identity,
Yes.
what if, like, let's say the Lord, at one point in my life, he, like, he's like, okay, stop
That's
traveling,
enough. Yeah.
and then you go to this country where no one will see you, right? No one will notice you, but I want you to serve there. Then if I'm so obsessed with my title right now that I have, the position, my ministry, that I get to travel and preach everywhere, like, and when the Lord asked me that, I'm gonna be like so upset.
Yeah.
God, did you forget about me? Right? So for me,
That's
my
so
prayer
good.
is that I don't want to hold on to these titles. I don't want to title myself as one thing, as this minister. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, possessing all this
Yeah.
and
So and if you disagree with me on this, like I would love to like learn
yeah.
more, because this is where
Yeah.
I'm at now.
Yeah.
But you know, it might change too in the future, right? But and so yeah, that's how I see it. So I think it's more of like, if you know that God's called you and that you want to serve God, choose him every day. And you know, even when your yes is weak, like I always say, just still give him that yes, that obedience, and the Lord will take that. And he'll surprise you where he leads you, you know. And so if I were to choose like what type of ministry that I want to serve God in, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now,
Yeah.
because I started out with worship ministry, and I love leading worship. You know, like that's my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So when people like ask me, "Hey, can you lead worship?" Yes, I would love to. When pastors call me, "Hey, can you come to our church for camp to preach?" I'm like, I don't know if I can, because I don't think I share this with like people
Yeah.
that much, but when I was a kid, I had a stuttering problem. Yeah. So I remember specifically when I was at my kindergarten graduation, we had to say, go Golpia at Agape Lemio, we had to say our name, how old we were, and all this, like in English. And I was so nervous, like in front of people, and like I stuttered so much. I was like, my name is like that. Like I
Oh,
was
wow.
stuttering. And at like youth camps and stuff when we are like teenagers, like I was so like wrecked by God. And then like they would have like these like testimony times, right? And so I'm like, I really want to share, you know, what I feel. And so
Yeah.
every time I get up there, I cry, I sob, and I'm like literally like like I'm like sobbing
Sobbing like crazy.
crazy in front of people. So and that's every time I speak in public. So I'm like, speaking is not for me. That's what I said to myself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm meant to be a preacher at all, because I always cry and I can never finish my sentences, right?
That's so
And so I
crazy.
made this prayer every time. I said, God, I don't think I'm gonna be a preacher, so maybe I can either lead worship, that's how I can serve you, or bless my smile. I said that as a little girl.
Mm,
Bless my smile, so that
that's
when I
so
smile and
beautiful.
people see my smile, they would feel your love, because I don't know how to preach it.
Oh, Nem.
And you know how many people have came across my life up until like, you know, now, like people just come to me and say, I love your smile. Even like in Melbourne, there's this girl, she's like in her teenage years, so like she's very nonchalant, she's very like,
Yeah.
you know, reserved. And so all her family knows that, but she loves my smile. So like even when like there's preachers at church, like she's like never laughing, like iratuzia. Yeah, so she's like very nonchalant. And but the night that I preached, she like got in line to like handshake me
Oh,
and like tell me that I have a beautiful smile, and she even wrote me a letter saying that. So like I think the Lord really heard that prayer, and he, most importantly, he saw my heart,
that's so
because
good, Nem. As a little girl, like, oh, it reminds me of the scripture, God loves the little children, you know, and like, since you were a baby, since she was a little kid, she felt so in love with the Lord. That every little thing that she says.
yeah, because like
Oh my gosh.
it's like the Lord would like remind me of those
Yeah.
prayers that I would forget when I made those prayers. You know what I mean?
Your history with
Years
Jesus.
ago. Yeah. And like, yeah, my history with Jesus. And like, I think, like I said, most importantly, the Lord saw my heart,
Yeah.
because my heart was that I wanted people to feel loved,
Mm,
not just love, but the love of Jesus
yeah.
through me. So like people literally like, yeah, come to me, compliment me with my smile. And so I'm like, wow, God, you did hear my prayers,
Yes.
right? And so that was where I come from, right? That's my background. And so now I'm like called to preach and stuff. If I were to choose what kind of ministry, I won't be doing this.
No.
But because of my yes, I
Yes.
am here. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
So like in the next future, like I don't know what lies ahead of me. It might be another type of ministry that I don't want to do. Just like what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But I have to still say yes to that.
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm like getting so used to this ministry where I'm like traveling everywhere and then like, getting to meet these people, it's amazing, right? I love it. I learn to love it more and more now. But if I'm so obsessed with all the attention and all the things going on, like when the Lord leads me to the next season, I'm gonna be so miserable.
Yeah.
I don't have that anymore, right?
That's so good.
So
yeah.
I learned to look at life in seasons now. Because
Yes.
when we were
Yeah.
teenagers, everything was like one decision we make, it affects everything. Like it's the end of the world,
Yeah.
right?
That's
So
so
like
good.
there's so much pressure in that because if you make one wrong move then you're done the rest of your life. But like I think when it comes to ministry and walking with the Lord, it's in seasons.
Yes.
And different seasons unfold, right?
That's so crazy. I was also going to mention about seasons, and it's a
Yeah.
matter of the season as well. Like, and I was also going to say about like how in every season we got to know which one we are in, because now we are like still nungak, like still not married yet,
Yeah, yeah.
But when we get married, maybe it will be a season of being a mom, a season of being a wife. And then after our kids are grown up again, maybe it's a season of traveling again.
Yeah.
And I think just like how you were saying, we cannot just be obsessed and just be like holding on to that one thing that
Yeah.
we love doing,
Yeah.
of the calling of the Lord and ignoring the other ones. I think there will be times, a season where we have to be off, like the public's face and then
Yeah.
just be like focusing on the Lord and our family. And I think, like the other episodes, we'll be also talking about like women in the ministry, like you being a mom is also a mission.
Yeah.
Or like being a wife, serving the Lord, serving your husband
Yeah.
is also a mission, and I want to talk about
Yeah.
that. So like in
That's
the
so
future.
good.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a matter of the
It's
season.
just, yeah. And like we have to know that where the Lord is planting us, like
Yeah.
you can't run away from that.
No.
You know what I mean? You can't fast forward it either. Like I was planted in my church community, my local church,
Yeah.
for over 10 years,
That's
right?
so crazy.
I served at my church in the worship team, mostly backup, right? But sometimes I get to lead and
Yeah.
like the Lord uses me, despite the if I'm in a backup or not, because my heart is that God, like I don't care. I think we tend to like differentiate, I guess. Like, oh, I'm just a
Yes.
backup. Oh, I'm gonna lead today.
Yeah.
But the Lord saw those moments,
He really does.
those decisions, those hard postures that I was intentional about.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like 10 years ago, when I was like, oh, like I can't, even though I'm in a backup, like I'm not gonna like belittle it.
Yeah.
That small decision,
That
the
is
heart
so
posture,
good,
I
yeah.
was so intentional. It seemed like it won't matter at all because no one knew me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like God saw those moments. You
That's
know what I
so
mean?
true, yeah.
And then like if I continue with ministry, like when I was in college, that's like the time when my children pastor, she's like our our children pastor at Far East Mission Church, and she reached out to me one time and she's like, hey, like I have this vision like for outreach, and I want it to be like in neighborhoods once a week, and we share the gospel.
Yeah.
she had this whole vision, and she's like, but I need help. And she's been like trying to like basically convince, you know, people to help her, but I guess like it wasn't time, I guess, you know. But when she told me that, I was like, somehow like, I want to help. Because God uses a willing heart. You know what I mean? I didn't have
That's so
experiences with kids.
good.
Like my siblings, like we're all like close in age, so we never had like
Yeah.
babies like in our house.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like necessarily like good with kids either, but I wanted to help her. You know what I mean? And how I see myself is like there's like different people. Some are like they have big visions, and then some are to help, right? And I'm like the helper. I love helping. Like I don't really have big visions.
Yeah.
Like and sometimes I can't really see big pictures either. I'm very practical. Like I think small. Like
Yeah. You live what you see.
yeah,
Kind of thing.
yeah. And I'm like, hey, are you sure? You know, like let's just like if they're like, let's aim for this. I'm like, let's just aim here. Like at least you know we'll achieve something. That's how I am. So I'm very practical. But when people share their vision, I want to help. So I'm more of that person.
I think it started off with such a humble heart as well. That's so
Man.
important.
And like what happened was like, okay, I started helping, and then so we launched this program called Outreach in our church. And so now my sister Ulun, like she takes over it by the grace of God, because that's where the Lord has put her. And so now we have it in I think 15 different locations. Yeah, every Wednesday kids would meet at a house, and they would like learn about the word of God, and they go by topics. And but
That's
like
so
when
good.
I did it, it was just one house, right?
Wow.
And what's so amazing, because I like kind of just like forget about those things.
Yeah.
What's amazing is that the Lord would send like different people to remind me of those.
So
And
good.
Siama Tangi Nutangi in Melbourne, she actually the year that I started Outreach, she came to the house. Yeah, she visited the US. She came to the house, and I invited her. I was like, Siama, can you share, you know, testimonies or whatever that day? And so she didn't forget. Yeah. And so she told me last week, like when we met, she's like,
Wow.
in front of everyone,
After years.
after years, like she in front of everyone, she's like, you know, I saw her started from a very humble beginning. Like not that like kids ministry is like annoying, like it's not important,
Yeah, yeah.
but like most of us see it as like a humble beginning. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
on a Wednesday evening, no one knows, no one saw me. Like if I'm leading worship, like at least like the crowd sees me, and like you know it's live online, like people see it, right?
Yeah.
But that outreach, like I was still a full-time student. I was working full-time, right? And then I would go straight, not even home, but go straight to the outreach. And then so she saw that. And so last week in front of her church, she would say that. She's like, I saw her start from there. And then now, like, she's at my church preaching, right? And so
That's so
when she said that, I
crazy.
was like, wow, like, because if I said that, like, it would be like prideful and like,
But
"Natay na kipasak, or
yes, the fact that
kipat."
somebody else
But
witnessed
somebody
it,
saw it.
spoke it.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
it reminded me, I'm like, wow, that's right, Lord. You know what I
That's
mean?
so
Because I didn't even
crazy.
think of that. And to be very honest, like I had to like basically give up my worship ministry at that point. Because I was like, I was in the worship ministry since I was 13 years old. I kept serving, and then that year came, and then it was like either worship or outreach. And
Yes.
the Lord, you know, how I decided, how I made the decision was I made a prayer to God. I said, God, I love worship. And that's like, this is my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Not even because like I get seen by people and like all that, but like I love worshiping God. You know what I mean? But
So real.
there's so many people who can lead worship, who wants to be in that position, to be honest,
That's
right?
so good,
Like
Nem.
I don't know, there's a lot of people fighting to be in the worship team.
Yeah.
Like, because as humans, like, even though it's in church, like we tend to go towards the thing like that gives us fame, or that gives us like that
Yes.
recognition, to be seen.
Yes.
We crave to be
Yeah.
seen. And I was like, God, there's so many people, but
That
there's
can
no
serve
one.
you.
Yeah, there's no one who will serve you in the outreach ministry.
That's so
And my
crazy.
pastor, my children pastor, she has a vision, and I want to help that.
Wow.
So I said, God, plant me in a place where I'm needed,
Needed.
not where I want to.
Yes.
Because
That is so
if
good,
I'm gonna
Nem.
choose where I want to, I'll stick to the worship team.
Worship. Yeah.
But
That
I
is
prayed
so
that
good.
I would be planted as a seed where I'm needed.
Where you
So
need
I chose
it.
outreach, and
And
the
it's a
Lord
hard
has just
job,
been,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So even though I'm not in the season to continue it, like, the Lord placed Ulun to lead it, and she's leading it so well, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy. And it's like we have different seasons,
Yes,
right?
definitely.
And so now I'm like in a different season, but
Yeah.
it's like, oh, because of my obedience, like I was at least like I got to help it, right?
Yeah.
For a little bit.
That's
So
so good.
yeah.
Yeah, like definitely, like I think we both have the similar story right there. Like I also started doing worship since I was 9 years old, and since I was 16 years old, I started helping with Sunday school as well as a volunteer. And then I think about 5 years ago when we started this church, I just felt like, Lord, I do not want to be seen anymore. Like, because I'm being seen at this church, this church.
Yeah.
And especially for my family, it's like, it really, like, church hurts became so
Yeah.
real in my life.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, I was seen in that church last year.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be seen in this church
Oh,
right
wow.
now, like, and I feel like people go live, and then this person wasn't that person in another church last year leading worship, and I gave that up, and I'm like, God, I'm gonna go with Sunday school, like, and for me, the starting from Sunday school was my hiding place, to be honest, because I chose that as a hiding place, and to serve God with all my heart from there. And then Sunday school became like a heart where everything started off. And then, like, there were so many times where I wanted to give up to in the children ministry, but if it wasn't for these kids, I would have given up already, But I look at them again and again,
Yeah.
and it's like, these are the kids the Lord is dying for, And like your song, like, why would I say no to them?
Yeah.
And like, yes, I say yes to God for mission. I travel to Kyrgyzstan, Central Asia, all of
Yeah.
that, but I am like serving
Yeah.
like somewhere where nobody sees, and that is what make the Lord happy.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me happy, and I think it's so true when you say that, like, it's not a matter of like whether or not people see, people may chase or like choose the stage, but like it always starts from the hiding place.
Yeah.
And it's so
So good.
beautiful. Yeah.
Wow. So to conclude,
Yes.
again and again,
So many times.
whether you're in this season, that season, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter.
No, it does
Be
not.
faithful in the little,
Yeah.
wherever the Lord has put you. Be bold about it. Don't discourage yourself, because
Yeah.
in the Bible it literally says, "Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for I am your
With
God. I'm
you.
with you."
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, I think, even if you're like not sure where the Lord is leading you, you know at least who is leading you.
Yes.
That's good.
That's
so good.
Yeah.
Guys, take notes of that, because
Who
I
is
might
leading
forget.
you?
I said, what did I say?
You said
Whether or not you know where the Lord is leading you, at least you know who
who
is
is
leading
leading
you.
you. Yes.
So
That's
hold
so
on to his
good.
hand
Yeah. And always
tightly.
remember, like, nabulom. You know, I was speaking to, sorry guys, I have to mention this. I was speaking to one of my spiritual mother the other week, and she was like, don't forget what you have in your hand. Every single time you
So
face
good.
struggles, look at what you have in your hand with tears.
Wow.
And every single time I would find a reason to give up on serving the Lord, I would look at my calling and I'll be like, this is the reason why I'm doing this with tears. And I think that's what keeps us going. So no matter how
So
small
good.
or big that calling is, you know, even in the Great Commissions, like God in Matthew 28, God does not only ask us to disciple others, but in the end it says he will be with us till the end of
The
age.
ages.
And
Yeah.
it's so crazy,
That's
isn't it?
my
The
favorite
promise.
part. It's like he tells us what to do. Like, go and make
Yeah.
disciples of all nations and baptize them in the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, all these things. At the end, he said, there's a promise. Don't forget, right? That I'm with you until the very end.
He doesn't
So,
just leave us with go and do it.
right.
Right?
So it's like if
Yes.
we only look at the first part, it will get overwhelming
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, oh my gosh, like I have to go into all the world and preach and all these things. But the last part is it's very important. He's with you. You're doing it with him, right? And so take off the pressure.
Yes, guys.
He will do it. And I always make this prayer. I say, God, do only what you can do. That's my favorite line.
Yes.
Nang beki na septate tang samo, right? Like not what I can do, because what I can do is very typical. What you can do is very common.
Yeah.
But when God does only what he can do, then that's where he's glorified.
Yes.
That's when he's like, oh my gosh, God is wild,
Yeah.
right? And so,
Yeah, guys. Start where you are. You know, like it's never too
yeah.
small. And yeah, like go ahead and make sure your neighbor knows that you are a daughter or sons of Jesus. And I think that's the best way to start, that they see Jesus through your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I prayed
Yeah.
through your smile,
Yes.
you know. You could literally like get some sticky notes right now wherever you are, and then you can write Bible verses and then stick it on your neighbor's
Yeah.
doors. Like I know, like one of my this girl that I talked to, she told me she used to do that as a little girl, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like there's no excuse.
No excuse at all.
Yeah.
And just like how Nem was saying, I think that like when we were in DTS, our leader was talking about how even when you sneeze, you know, like somebody can get saved like that. You know, I think
That's
even
so
through a
funny.
smile, like through the eyes, through the looks
Yeah.
on your eyes, somebody can get saved.
Yeah.
And like how Nem was saying, like if you're listening, just take a note, you know, just say, God, look with my eyes, you know, would you speak through my mouth, you know, and listen with my ears, do with my hands, and go with my feet. And
Yeah.
that's the prayer I say every morning, you know,
Wow,
like
so
to
good.
start off the day. And I think that's a really good one if you guys want to take a note
Yeah.
as well. And yeah, like it's a matter of, we could be doing all the work of the Lord,
Yeah.
but if there's no fruit for people to see, what are they going to believe, you know? And I think it's a matter of the fruit as well and what
Yeah.
you're carrying.
He's an intentional God, so
Very
let's be
intentional.
intentional with him as
Yeah.
well. Oh, this is so
We
good.
can't stop
We
talking.
can't
tonight.
stop. We keep yapping.
Yes, guys, it's so good.
Yeah.
Anyways, anything you want to say? And
I just want to say I hope you're blessed. You know, if at least like you were encouraged with one word, 2 words, that's our prayer. And if you stayed until this, you know, then I really pray that you're blessed,
yes.
because I don't want it to be a waste of your time.
No, yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so know that we're not perfect people, right? We're not here on this
Yeah.
platform like do this, do that, right?
Yes.
But it's like we're sharing you as we're going through the
As we're
journey.
going through the journey,
Yeah.
yes.
So we are with you. We are not alone. And we just hope that anything that we shared sparked something in you,
Yes.
like an encouragement, boldness, or a fire, a
Yeah.
zeal for the Lord.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, like we are hoping to like, oh my goodness, I don't know when is the next time I'm gonna see her again, but guys, I really, really hope to do another episode with her because
Yeah.
it's just so fun and so flowing. It's
We could do
literally,
this all night.
I know, I was thinking
We've
about
been doing
sleepover.
this for like what, 2-3 hours
Oh my
now?
gosh, what's the time now?
9:13. Yeah.
We need to get you home. We need to get her home. Siapa is waiting. Yeah, guys, I think it's so fun.
Yeah. It's so
Um,
fun.
Yeah, like it's so crazy. We're doing this genuinely because we have a burning heart for it,
Yeah.
and that's our
I
heart
probably
behind it.
will hate how I'm like sitting
I
so
know.
comfortably because I was just like,
I was like this. Keep moving.
no. Yeah, but please don't judge us, okay?
No.
We're just having a real conversation here. So
Honestly,
like listen to what we're saying, but like don't look at, what we're not.
because we
whatever.
did try finding a space that was good, but
Yeah.
we couldn't find any. So we're
Yeah.
not trying to be disrespectful with anything, but I hope you guys like this.
Yeah, the point is not us.
Yes,
The point is that you hear Jesus through this.
definitely.
Yeah. All
We
right.
love you guys.
Bye, guys.